All right, hello everyone, and welcome here to day 3 of the EsportsU Coaches and Directors Summit 2024. It's the last day for what we got, but boy, is it a fun one. We have here our panel, our group, to talk to you guys and introduce in a deeper light the College Street Fighter, which will be happening this year, where we are adding for the first time ever the 5th title to the CECC Games of Competition. And boy, is it an exciting one. We're going to play Street Fighter, right? Street Fighter comes back to college, I think is the fun tagline we've been using. So joining me on this panel today, let's just go around a quick round of introductions. I'll start giving everybody your cues, but a woman who needs no introduction herself, but we'll give her the floor anyways to speak. The one and only, the Neon Star. Please, Tony Ann, welcome and say your hello to the group.
Hi, everybody. For many that don't know me, or for people that know me too well, I'm Tony. I'm the Esports Operations Manager at CSMG and EsportsU. I'm the one that actually you're going to be talking to sign up for Street Fighter and all our events this season. So look out for my announcements on Discord.
Thank you, Tony. Next up, our man with the plan, the man with the rule book in hand, Spencer Kirksey. Please, Spencer, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Spencer Kirksey. I'm with Esports Foundry. I'm the tournament organizer who has been with CECC for 3 years now, going on 3 years. So super excited to add Street Fighter. I'm looking forward to the season, and I'm looking forward to everything that comes with it.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Spencer. And then next up, one of our beloved partners in the space, the one and only Hell on Pause, aka Jason Clark. Jason, would you introduce yourself to everybody as well?
Yeah, so I'm Jason Clark. I run Collegiate FGC, CFGC for short. We started a year ago, and we're excited to really dive into the community of fighting games and see it really expand into this space with CECC and EsportsU.
Thank you, Jason. And now, last but certainly not least, our beloved and esteemed commissioner for the College Street Fighter, a man with many titles, but I'm not even going to begin to start naming them to you. Mr. Wim, please introduce yourself to everybody here.
Thanks, Kyler. Hi to everybody, and greetings from Riyadh. I'm over here for the Esports World Cup. It's what is it here? Is it 8? Sorry, it's 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock in the evening over here. I'm just really getting settled, so nothing to report yet, but it should be an exciting few days going into next week being here. I want to thank Kyler and Tony Ann and Angela and everybody at EsportsU for inviting me to be part of this panel. I was thrilled that we could work so closely with Capcom to get Street Fighter back into the collegiate space. I'll give more history on this when we get into it, but this is not the first time Street Fighter's been in college. We had when we had Collegiate Star League, we had a Street Fighter League both in 2018 and 19. That was not with Street Fighter 6. It was Street Fighter 5, not as a title for online play. So everything had to be a LAN. And as everybody is well aware, these can be cumbersome. They can be expensive. And we never really felt that we gave Street Fighter, even after 2 years, the best possible support in college. Very different this time around. We're going to talk more details in a bit, but super thrilled that we're going to be kicking this off in fine fashion. We did announce Street Fighter coming to college back at the CECC in May. EsportsU, their national collegiate championship in Arlington, Texas. We did announce it at that point. But a lot more details now being fleshed out, and we're excited to be talking about it here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Wim. And I think let's actually stay with you on that, because I think that is a great intro to the backstory, right? A great intro to really what we're here to talk about, right? How did we get here? I think that was some great pieces on the history of, what happened in the past. How did we, what was going on a few years ago or back in Street Fighter 5. But now with Street Fighter 6 out and with the reinvigorated, call it, attention, bringing Street Fighter back into college. Wim, talk to me about it. How did we get here, right? How did that go from there where it was supported a few years back in 5, now that we're here with 6, and how did this this partnership between Capcom and CSMG really flesh out, and now we're here bringing College Street Fighter to all the conferences and the players?
Great, and again, thrilled to talk as long about this as you'll let me talk. We are, as I mentioned, Street Fighter was in the college realm in 2018 and 2019 when we had CSL, Collegiate Star League, and then what happened in 2020, the pandemic hit. So we did not, and you might also remember that CSL was bought by private equity in 2020, became its own entity under the Playfly Esports and Playfly Sports umbrella. As you know, merged with, at least operationally, merged with NACE and ran co-joined leagues and co-joined operations for a couple of years. But when that all happened, we took a back seat as most did in college. Everything went to online, and once Street Fighter 6 was announced, it was the planning began at that point. Japanese executives have felt that and have wanted to for some time build a much more targeted campaign towards a younger audience. Street Fighter, as everyone's aware, has aged up, but with Street Fighter 6, a big impetus and a big initiative around getting younger players in. High school, college, of course, are the means by which to do this. So it was a lot of planning, but a fairly aligned conversation with Capcom when we brought this back to the table. It was a pretty easy conversation to get them to agree, largely because of the fact that aging down is such an important part of their strategy. Hence, the college and high school made a lot of sense. So we are thrilled to be most of the summer been planning to get to this point. We're only a few weeks away from launching. I won't butcher the timing, Kyler and Tony Ann and the rest of you. I'll let you guys speak to that. But we are kicking off the registrations. We already have some great momentum thanks to Jason Clark, thanks to those at NECC, and also at ECAC. We're getting some really good early interest and momentum for registration and for playing in the EsportsU College Street Fighter Series this year. So again, super excited. Very different environment, different game entirely. Probably the best rated Street Fighter game ever. And again, thrilled that we could bring this back into collegiate, where many more people are going to have access to it. Many more students and schools are going to be playing it. The rise of, thanks to Jason and CSMG and EsportsU and others, the FGC is on a major rise collegiately and really culturally. So we're, again, super thrilled that I could be here. I am the commissioner of the College Street Fighter League. I don't know that I really fully understand what that title is, and I'm making millions of dollars from it. I just want everyone to know that I'm going full. There's a lot of money. I'm kidding, of course. There's no money in this title, but I love Street Fighter, love FGC, love, of course, love collegiate space and all the great work that colleges and college administrations are doing to elevate gaming and esports at the collegiate and high school level for that matter. So again, thrilled to be here and thrilled to have Street Fighter back as an offering for all of our collegiate partners.
Yeah, no, thank you, Wim. And I agree with you completely. As somebody who wasn't necessarily heavy FGC before this, Street Fighter 6 has got to be one of the more fun, more I'd say inviting titles for maybe FGC newcomers. As I agree with you, Evo was such a big thing, and culturally seeing the changes, but also being able to roll in as a newbie Ken player and get the floor handed to me a couple times, but still learning from it. I agree with you. Street Fighter is probably in a better place than it is now, than it's been in a while. But let's get to the chase here about the things that if you are a player, if you're a student, a coach, a director, or whatever the case may be, and you are watching this panel, be like, all right, I know I've been hearing about this. We've been hearing about Street Fighter for a little while now. When do I sign up? Where do I sign up? So to that, we toss to the one and only Neon Star, Tony Ann. Please tell the people what they want to know. What is the season going to look like? Where do they sign up? How does that work? What happens next?
Thank you, Kyler. So the main question, where do we sign up? So everything is actually going to be running through our regionals. For example, our Midwest is going to be opening soon. That registration link will be the same link to add to Street Fighter. So your coach, or if you want to just register yourself, you sign up on that link, and every event will be happening during our regional dates. So there's not separate dates for each Street Fighter competition, and more will be announced date wise in our Discord literally right after this panel. But just so you guys know how it's going to work, there is fall qualification and then there's spring qualification that actually gets you qualified into May Madness. So I'll walk you through fall first. Fall will have our 4 regionals, which again I mentioned this on Tuesday. South region is the only region that actually is going to be participating in the fall and spring. Fall is just Street Fighter only, and then our other 3 regions is everything listed above. So our 4 regionals will be top 2 that will qualify to the spring qualifier. So I'll back up. In our online qualifier, top 8 will be entered into a regional. The top 2 from our regional will then qualify you for the spring qualification. That will make 8 out of the top 16 in spring. The other 8 will be coming from partnered conferences and their championships, and we'll be announcing who those conferences will be at a later date. When you're in the spring, which will start in February, you're going to be playing in a bracket to determine if you are top 8 going into CECC. So I know I just threw a lot out at everybody. So it will start at an open online qualifier, then a regional. Once you qualify there, you will then go to a spring qualification event, and then that's where you actually qualify for CECC. Spencer could touch on a little bit about format and what bracket looks like, but I just want everyone to know there are not separate dates for anything Street Fighter. It is during our regional events. And again, I will be posting all of that literally today. So just look out in our Discord. And obviously, if any people have any questions, I will go and answer them for you. But just to make it easy, again, it is during our actual regionals, same dates, same times. And again, Discord will be announced soon.
So worth noting that is for one of the ways that you guys can participate. That is for CECC qualification. There is also a few other methods as well. So I think to give you guys a little bit of that clarity, right? Fall is the way you get into playoffs. Playoffs is the way you get in. Playoffs will take place in spring. Playoffs is in the way you get to Texas. So I don't know, Spencer, if that's exactly what you were about to say, but just wanted to kind of provide that clarity that what Tony Ann just talked about, that's the CECC side of the qualification, open to anybody and anywhere you play. What just depends on what region. You can also qualify in through our partner conferences. But to talk more about structure, how everything is done, Spencer, why don't you take the floor and give everybody more information?
Yeah, so if all of that seems confusing right now, do not worry. You're going to get bombarded with Neon Star announcements on Discord here shortly. And it's going to be very laid out in a way where you can read it and understand it. To reiterate, open online qualifiers into regionals, regionals into the spring regionals, and into CECC. And again, as Kyler said, that's not the only way to qualify. There are the partner conferences, including CFGC, of course. So basically, whenever you're adding a new title to a long-standing event like CECC, you want to do yourself and the community a favor by kind of researching the history of the game and familiarizing yourself with the community and honoring what makes that community so special. And I feel like the EsportsU team has done that so far. I feel like the Esports Foundry team has done that so far, and the CFGC team has definitely done that so far. We want to basically maximize player experience through our rules and tournament structure, utilizing best of five and round robin where we can. The only place you will not see round robin in our competitions, the CECC portion of the competitions, is the open online qualifiers. So if you are making it to a regional or beyond, you can expect a lot of games. And what we believe is the more amount of games, the more amount of matches, it's going to create a great competitive atmosphere with rules that a lot of these players are going to be used to from traditional tournaments from fighting games. So whether that's Combo Breaker, Evo, or your locals, you're going to see that our rules reflect what you're used to when you travel to these events. The structure, obviously, with it being a first year, is going to be new. We're going to go through trials and errors, but our end goal is to make sure that we create a memorable time for the players, the coaches, friends, family, and all of those who are going to be watching.
Yeah, thank you, Spencer. So really love hearing that. And yeah, to that point, we really want to make sure we provide you guys the best forms of competition, the best way we can structure everything and everything like that. And to that end, that's why we've brought on some of the experts in the field. So kicking it over to you, hell on pause. Jason, let's talk about it, right? So talk about, the CFGC, right? You guys have been around for a little while now. You guys have such a great connection to the FGC community, and you guys have been running competitions already yourselves. I mean, talk to me about it. What is CFGC for those who don't know or who maybe aren't quite yet a part of your community? And really, what does that mean jumping on and being a part of the College Street Fighter season?
Absolutely. Once can I answer that once that expert gets here? I'm not sure who you were talking about, but no. So yeah, CFGC. So we started last year based on I've been involved in high school, college esports stuff since about 2018, and every semester I had kids ask about fighting games, Street Fighter, that sort of thing, and every semester I had to say like, there's not really much around for it, right? You can go play Smash. And about a year ago, I got asked again because I was working at a high school, and I was kind of like, man, I'm tired of saying no. So let's start something. Let's see what it looks like. And it all kind of happened to be a perfect storm because you had the new title coming out, right? Street Fighter 6, which has an awesome net code that can play all over. And so we gave it a run in the fall, and we just put out sign-ups, said, hey, who wants to play Street Fighter and represent your college or be a student from a college? And kind of went crazy. We had 4 weeks of competition. We did it like a traditional like double limb every night. So me and my guy Albie Fresh, who's in the chat there, we were working our full-time jobs, and in the evenings we were just running a full bracket, and so it was like 4 or 5 hours each night, trying to figure out what's this look like in our space. And what we really found out is kind of regardless of how we structure our competition, it's more about the community, right? That's what the FGC is, like fighting game community. That's what they want. And a lot of these college students were missing that in their general experience of just they go to their locals, they play their fighting games, which we want them to keep doing. We try to keep pushing that, but just to be able to like hang out with the college students and then potentially represent who you are as a school. Because if you think about it, as a fighting games player, you were looking around and seeing like Rocket League and League of Legends and stuff like that. Like they were getting the chance to represent their school. They were going to represent who they were. And having that sense of identity can go a long way with retention and staying in school, right? And so we were like, let's keep building on the community, and we'll figure out the format as we go along. So we ran in the spring, and we brought in some amazing people to help support. So we do our own full ELO system. So you come in, you play all these matches, you get ELO based. So by the end of our tournament, we really find out who the top players are and the top winners are. And the whole time we were trying to preach our own gospel of like, hey, we want to be here for the long run. We want to legitimize what fighting games could be. These games can play online now, which we know you can't travel very much when you're like traditional sports. And so trying to build that trust with colleges, trying to build that trust with directors, trying to get them to a point where like, hey, I'm willing to recruit players because I know they'll have a home. And in that process, like we met Wim, and Wim was like, hey, there's going to be a lot of support coming for Street Fighter, and got connected with EsportsU, CSMG, and that really brought along a lot of the legitimate, right, making it a legitimate space, letting the directors, letting the schools see like, hey, this could be something that we can actually put some resources into because we know we'll have a home for these students. And so we're now into our fall signups, and the numbers are looking awesome. Our Discord's growing. We have tons of players coming in new. The one of the hangups still is that if I don't know if anyone was around for like the early days of college and high school esports, is there were a lot of teams around, and so you'd have to build teams and you had to find a home for them. And so we still have a lot of players that they're full-time college students, but they don't necessarily have their team or club representation. So that's one of our big goals this year, is to keep driving them into that. And for Street Fighter, as we say, like, hey, like, you'll be able to compete for us. Say, like, you're the CFGC champion, which, you know, we're kind of biased and think that makes you the best as far as champions goes. But now you really get to prove it because you get to go and compete against everyone else in the nation, North America, at CECC. So we're pretty excited about that, and we're excited to see it grow, and super excited to be a part of all this. So anything else I can cover, Kyler? Did I ramble too long?
No, that was perfect. Thank you very much. I think that is going to be a fun one. But I think I didn't hear you say the most important, or one of the most important things that I was hoping you'd say. Of it's free, by the way, guys, to play with them.
Yeah,
right? Unless you changed that on me in the last like 24 hours.
No, we take that for granted. So we're definitely remaining free, and a lot of that is because of we don't feel particularly right charging individual students quite yet. So that's why we're pushing for club and team, and we got to build that trust with the schools yet. So right now we're free, and that's why we can let those individual students join and push them to build into those clubs and build a club in their schools.
Absolutely. So remember, so Jason, actually, do you guys have the short Discord link, or is there anything where if anyone is looking for more information about the CFGC as a conference, as an organizer, or just in general as a community, where should people be looking for information on that?
Yeah, I'll drop it here in the chat in just a moment once I figure out why a cat is currently destroying my leg. So.
Perfect. Well, yeah, there you go. Yeah, so I think I'll send it to one of us, because I'm pretty sure you guys are getting hit by the auto mod in Twitch. We'll get your link posted. But thank you to everybody. If you are interested in joining one of our conferences, one of our first and one of our largest partner conferences for the College Street Fighter, league, tour, whatever you want to call it, just basically the competition coming up this academic year, you definitely want to check them out. It's free to join. It's free to do it, however you want it. So talking through that, then let's look ahead, right? Let's look ahead to where does this all lead, right? So for those of you who maybe are watching this as an FGC player and are wondering, so what is this CECC thing, or what am I expecting? Wim, I actually want to go to you first. What in your words should the players, should the students, directors, anybody involved be thinking and expecting as we head towards the May finals? I mean, you were there last year and everything. What would you say is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for a player that's in the season this year?
Well, the pot of gold, of course, is the grand prize pool that is coming as part of the national championship, and I believe, Kyla, can you verify the dollar amount?
45,000 across the whole year.
That's 45,000. That's 45,000. That's right. Okay, thank you. So by all means, the pot of gold for the winning player is, of course, the $45,000 grand prize. But also, while this is still early, you can certainly anticipate for players, students, and schools for that matter, that there will in subsequent years be more of a funnel and more of a tie to the pro circuit. And in the case of Street Fighter, of course, that's Capcom Pro Tour and the Street Fighter League, two different ways to play Street Fighter competitively and play it professionally. But as this being the first year, we sort of sticking to our knitting, making sure we're generating as much awareness about Street Fighter at availability for collegiate play. This year, you can expect for subsequent years that more formal relationships and more formal ties to Capcom Pro Tour and to Street Fighter League will start to take shape. So, to Kyler, to answer your question, there is a nice pot of gold here waiting for in May of 2025 for the national champion collegiate player. But beyond that, and going into subsequent years, there's even more opportunity for a player to distinguish themselves if they're serious about playing Street Fighter, and if they're skilled, sufficiently skilled. You see the quality of play that Street Fighter. We just referenced Evo. We were there for the Street Fighter Championship at Evo. Punk finally won, which was so much fun to see. I've been to 3 other events where he was the semifinalist and got into the championship round, but lost all 3 times. So it was really fun to see him to be the champion at Evo. But again, here's a player that kind of came up through the amateur realm and continues to do very well and to distinguish himself, and other players can expect to have similar paths as we continue to build the collegiate Street Fighter presence and series, and then some more formal attachments to Capcom Pro Tour and Street Fighter League.
Absolutely. Wow. Okay, Wim dropping some big teasers for you guys in the community there. If you guys weren't excited already, that's a big one that could be something forward to looking towards your future if you are a competitor or a potential competitor. But all right, with that, then I don't know if I'm going to be able to top that, because that's a pretty big one, Wim. I got to say, that's a big one to drop. But thinking towards that, I do want to just say here, if I can take 5 minutes as my soapbox speech to all of you potential players, all of those of you that are looking to compete. One of the big things is building your brand, right? Building who you are as a competitor, building your identity, building whatever that is, so that people can understand who you are, get to know you, etc. So, if you are looking to compete and you are looking to really go far in this thing, which I know some of you are out there already, and you can already see yourself on that main stage or on the stage in Texas. One of the things to remember, this year we will, if you make it to top 16 in the spring, we will be pulling some footage, some moments, some putting together content around you guys. So make sure, if you don't have it now, look through your VODs. Where did you compete before? Do you still have tape from those things? Do you have also any information we can pull, or anything we can pull in terms of like home videos of when you were little and you're playing Street Fighter on like the whatever old console? I don't want to date myself, because to me, what's an old console may not be valid anymore. It may be like ancient. Most of you watching this may not even know what the heck I'm talking about. So, all right, whatever that looked like, just have that ready, or start gathering that now, because we want to tell your stories. We want to tell, really dive deep into who you guys are as competitors. So make sure you start grabbing that now, start getting that together now, especially if you think you will be a person that's going to take this seriously, go far, and like Wim just mentioned, if you have aspirations for pro, start thinking about that. So just putting that out there for the minds of all of you guys that are competing. But now, with that said, I turn it back over to our panelists, and I turn it over to, I believe, let's go to Tony. Tony, with Street Fighter involved and now a 5th CECC title, I know this means you're going to have a lot more registrations to handle, and I know you're so looking forward to that. But please, outside of that, the amount of new players, names, and faces that you will have to figure out for this upcoming season, what are you most looking forward to having Street Fighter in the stable of CECC titles this year?
Thanks, Kyler. So I actually just want to add real quick before I answer what I'm most excited for. Just so everyone knows, our regional, every program is able to enter up to 8 students per program per regional. So if you have a program of 4 to 5 students, everyone is able to participate. I just want to let everyone know that we are capping at 8 students per program per region. So I'll go now into what I'm most excited for. I think it is what Kyler said. I think it's knowing and meeting a lot of new students, a lot of new programs that probably weren't able to compete with us because it was outside of their game titles. So I am most excited for meeting new people. I mean, that's just who I am. I said it a lot on our panel on Tuesday. I am a very talkative person, an outgoing person, and I want to be friends with everybody. So I'm here to help every student be able to register and be able to get involved.
Awesome. Yep. I mean, Tony Ann, just for those of you who are new to this community, right? Tony Ann's going to be your best friend and ally. Feel free to send her as many messages as you need to get the information you need, period, and all for that. Also, to answer a quick question, because I saw it come up, I know I'm ahead of Q&A, but it's easy. Regionals are free. CECC regionals are free to enter for the open qualifiers. Unfortunately, you do have to make the cut to get into the regional. So just kind of giving that clarity there. But all right, I'm going to throw this one next. First to Spencer, and then Jason, you can start getting your answer ready as well. But to the FGC community, because Spencer, I know this is a community near and dear to your heart as well. What do you think this represents? And if you're a player in the space, right, hear it from the guys who actually play the games themselves or predominantly play the games themselves. What does it mean to you guys, and what do you think they should be taking away from this or coming into the season with a mindset of? Let's go there. So Spencer, to you first.
It's about balancing and that desire to play, that grind set, that wanting to be on the big stage. Fighting games, where I come from, I'm from Columbus, Ohio. We have a very, very good scene there. And I've been dropping hints to the players there, a lot of the younger ones who may not have had aspirations to play collegiate Street Fighter. I mean, it means the world to them because now they have a pathway, as Wim put it, to not only play for a school to represent a program, they now have a potential pathway to professional that's different than what has traditionally been for the last 20, 30 years. And Kyler, I won't date myself either with any consoles, but I'll just put 20 years. But yeah, it means the world. The way I think about it is I think about how CECC was this past season, with moments like the Rocket League finals, with moments like the Smash finals, and I look forward to these players being able to create those moments, but with Street Fighter. That's the thing that I'm looking forward to. That's the thing that I think a lot of these players should be kind of eyeing. Who's going to have that special moment? Who's going to have that pop off? Who's going to have that friendly banter, trash talk, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's just creating a new pathway for them. It's very exciting. It means the world. Can't speak for everybody, but I'm going to assume that a lot of people feel the same way. Like, hey, I can represent my local college. Not only am I getting an education, but I get to play the game I love.
Incredible. Yeah. All right. Well, we heard the perspective from Columbus, Ohio. Jason, I don't remember where in the country you are based. I want to say, was it Florida? No? Or you were headed to Florida for something. No,
much
no,
colder.
no. Okay, yeah, see. Much colder. Okay, I got it completely wrong. Jason, go for it. Where, your take, your thoughts. What should a student who wants to compete, what should they be thinking about? What's the mindset? What's the feel from the FGC community?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm in Iowa, originally from Indiana, because Midwest, Midbest, as always. And so there's a couple of things that come to mind. One is that one of the things I look back as when I was getting involved in esports from the start was that when I was in high school, from starting the esports program to the next year, there was a full letter grade bump and then a super high retention rate, right? And so what I got from that was that there was that drive for identity, right? So you're a part of the FGC, but then you have this other thing that you're also in, right? So you're in your college and you want to represent them. You want to be able to like pull up the merch, throw it on, go out and represent it. And that drive for bringing that legitimacy to the collegiate space, right? And so I think there's a lot that want that. They want to be able to identify, and they're already a part of this entity, so now they get to represent it, and I think that's a big thing. And so I'm excited for them to get that opportunity, and I think they are as well. The other one always comes to mind is if you think of any other esport, right? Like fighting games, Street Fighter, like it's one on one, right? It's you against someone else. There's no other teammates to blame. There's no one to be tilted at but yourself. And so you, as you say, you grind through it. And so I think as you play those type of games, it's hard to settle for being mediocre, right? You want to drive to be the best. And so with CFGC and now the cap that on the end with CECC potentially, like that's a drive to where you can put yourself on like the biggest stage you can as a college student and show that you are the best. And the further you get to that, then the more you get to prove that the thing you're grinding for, the thing you're into it the most, you're getting representation, right? And so I think they'll have that mindset going in, is that they're going in like, hey, I'm going to go one-on-one and I'm going to show that I can do all this. And I'm going to drive all the way to as far as I can and hopefully be at the end of this on that stage. So.
Yeah, that end game, that end stage, for those of you who haven't been to Esports Stadium Arlington, you definitely want to be there. Well, all right, before we close this one out then, because we are about to roll up on time, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in chat now. But other than that, let's just go around the room then one last time, and Wim, we'll come back to you. Closing thoughts, closing things, anything you can think of that you'd want to say to the community as it relates to Street Fighter or just the college community in general. Any closing thoughts on this before we wrap up? Wim, are you muted on vMix? You might be.
Sorry about that. I was muted. My apologies. I was just starting to say that you guys are doing a great job in getting the stage set and all of the planning going into getting a strong launch and strong participation for College Street Fighter. You're all doing great work. We're looking for many more schools, many more students to get involved, and the opportunity is here right now. So again, thanks to everybody, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say thanks to Angela Thomas, who's the head of EsportsU, who has been very instrumental in getting this together and getting the structure in place and bringing the whole impetus and the whole energy of EsportsU and CSMG to bear on Street Fighter. I think it's going to be a ton of fun, as everybody's aware. If you're in a fighting game player of any sort, of any skill level, it's a great community. It's certainly one of the most accessible and one of the most diverse culturally and genderly that exists on the planet. It's such a fun intersection. You think of anime and hip hop and everything else. If you track any of the peripherals going on around a fighting game like anime, you see the rise of anime has been astounding, and Street Fighter is being as a part of that, as are other Japanese fighting games that are also propelling the interest in anime. So this is a very different kind of gaming community, and I think it's one, especially in college campuses, going to be a ton of fun. So many ways to get involved, and so many ways to participate. So my closing comments, and again, Kyler and Tony Ann and Spencer and Jason, Angela and everybody at EsportsU, thanks for all the great help and support and getting us in a great place to launch for launch in September.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you, Wim. No, thank you for helping really be one of the architects as well. You belong on that list just as much as, and probably more than most of us on that one. But yes, thank you very much, Wim. I did see one quick question in the chat, and I can answer that real fast. You can compete in both the CFGC as a conference and the regional CECC events. You are not restricted by us to play in as many as you want to play in. However, just calling out, if you make it to the spring playoffs, you cannot represent like 3 things at once. So you can win as many as you want, but you you will be placed in based on whichever one was the first place you qualified from, if that makes sense. So timelines, calendars are very important for any of you that compete in conferences or partner conferences like the CFGC. There will be more, like we alluded to, the ECAC, the NECC, some of the others, just to name a few. There will be more. We'll have more information available to you in our Discord. I believe I'm answering for my panelists right now, and I apologize, guys. But all right, moving down the line, then back down the line the other way. Jason, any closing thoughts before we finish out the panel here?
I would say that last thing is, I mean, regardless of the path you take, I think it's exciting just to see Street Fighter and fighting games on this much love through the collegiate space, right? That was the CFGC's, our major vision was how can we drag collegiate and the FGC and find that intersection. And I think this is a great way to go about it. So we're excited to be a part of it. We're excited to watch players compete. I'm excited for the next 8 months to sit here in front of this computer and watch it for 4 hours a night. So it'll be exciting. So,
disclaimer: we may not be broadcasting all 4 hours, but I know Jason will be eagerly watching every 4 hours night of competition for them. All right, Spencer, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, the last thing I'll say really to close this out is there's a lot of love and care, whether it's Jason and Albie Fresh from CFGC, whether it's Tony and Kyler from EsportsU, whether it's Wim, whether it's myself. We all deeply care about this. We all want to make this work for you. We want to make it exciting, fun, worthwhile, and I'm just super pumped for the season. Super excited to see how this turns out. It's going to be a blast, and this is just year one. So get in the beginning. It's going to blow up. So we're pumped.
Start your dynasty now. I want to hear the story about the freshman from wherever you are, came in year one, cleaned house, and then you hold your title till you're a senior, and then some new kid, right, does the anime arc where they overthrow you as the favorite. I want to see it. So get it ready. All right, then our last one, but certainly not least, Tony, and please your final thoughts before we close up the panel.
Short and simple. I'm excited for a new season, new game. As Spencer said, the competition, you never know where it could go, and I think that's what I'm looking forward to. Like Kyler said, start your dynasty now.
Absolutely. All right. Well, then, thank you everyone for joining me on this panel, and thank you to our audience for tuning in. For those of you that want more information about the College Street Fighter season, where to sign up, where to register, who's a part of it, any other questions, please join our Discord. There will be more partner conferences as well that you guys can compete in. So more events, right? Not only the CECC regionals, not only the CFGC season, but there will be so many more people and places you can participate to get yourself to Texas, right? May Madness 2025. If you want to be there, you want to be recognized in the top 8, you want to claim your part of that pot of gold, you want to join our Discord so that you can make sure you stay up to date and up to the latest information. But for all of those here, thank you guys for joining me on this panel. Thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned in, as I believe our next panel will be on partnerships and alliances within the space, hosted by, as Wim mentioned, the one and only Angela Bernard Thomas. She will be the one to take you guys through the next panel. You'll want to stick around. There's a lot of interesting folks from interesting places with a lot of very important things to say, and I'm kind of downplaying that because there's some big things that came out or are coming out, so you guys want to stay tuned for that. So thank you all for joining me, and we'll see you on the next panel. Bye, everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the 2024 EsportsU Coaches and Directors Summit. This is our third year to be doing this. It's really a time when our team is able to present what we have going on for the year, letting our community know what we're excited about. And at the same time, we also have different partners and organizations that we're working with on various levels. We'd like to give all of them an opportunity to let the broader community know what their season plans are and what they're excited for. And so with that in mind, that is today's panel on partnerships and alliances. Partnerships has been a very important, strategic thought for us since the very beginning of EsportsU. It's one of the reasons that we actually formed the Collegiate Esports Commissioners Cup, was to create a property that was multi-conference and a multi-game title property. And we really wanted to be able to bring conferences together so that there was a big calendar event at the end of the year that students could get excited about. And so we view all partnerships sort of with that same level of importance. So I want to get to our panelists here today, and maybe we could just go around and each of you can introduce yourself and tell us just a little bit about your organization. And we'll start at the top. Derek, we'll start with you.
Yeah, thanks, Angela. Thanks everyone for joining, and I appreciate it. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Derek Hinnicky. Some of you may know me as Salingi out there. I am the Director of Collegiate Operations here at the Unified Pro-Am Association, or the UPA, for the new and upcoming, super excited about the UPA College League. I know some of you out there are probably unfamiliar with the NBA 2K's competitive scene. So just quick little background, UPA is obviously the home of the NBA 2K competitive community. We've been around for just about 10 years now. I don't know, so our community and player base have been amazing. Ev, Lux, and LT have been incredible, everything they've built up and they've been working on. So yeah, specifically about me, I've been in the 2K scene for just about 5 years total now. Worked alongside the Dallas Mavericks gaming team, or Mavs Gaming, and the NBA 2K League. And then, of course, I've been alongside the UPA team here on the competitive and professional side.
Thank you, Derek, and thank you for joining today. And we're very excited for you to be here and the opportunity to work with you on some of these exciting initiatives that you have coming up. So let's go to Josh. Josh, you are what time zone are you calling in from, and what time is it there?
So I'm in Spain, so European time. So it's just gone 9 p.m. So still just within working hours from an esports point of view. But thanks, Angela. I'm the global director for our university esports program at GG Tech. A little bit of background about GG Tech. We are a multinational esports video games company headquartered here in Spain, but we've been developing our operations across Europe, Middle East, North Africa, and North and South America. And as a company, we do everything from collegiate all the way up to the pro level, ranging from the Call of Duty major in Miami last year to collegiate leagues in different parts of the world. So my background is entirely in the collegiate space. I founded an organization called Newell back in 2010, which was the first sort of national university league or collegiate league in Europe. And since then, been helping to develop the collegiate space across Europe and now further afield around the world.
Thank you very much, Josh. Wonderful to have you. Ed, tell us a little bit about yourself and Vanta.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and aloha. My name is Ed Lallier, Chief Corporate Development Officer at Vanta Development Group, also co-founder. My background, been in business development strategic account management and sales management for about 24 years. Been a gamer since the Quake days in the 90s, and started Vanta in response to my son unfortunately being cyberbullied. We create safe places for kids to game with adult supervision. We're an infrastructure company that provides coaching, competition, professional development, platform, and events. We support the development of our youth to create positive outcomes stemming around college scholarships as well as career pathways.
Awesome. Thank you, Ed. Great to have you. Curtis, tell us a little bit about you and the newly minted Playfly College Esports.
Yes, Angela, thank you. Thrilled to be here. For those that don't know me, I'm Curtis Winger. I lead esports operations at Playfly. Been with the company since 2015, which is the longest tenure of any current esports employee, which is exciting. Actually started with the company as a tournament admin, and maybe that's why I have such a deep respect for them and the critical but grossly underappreciated work that they do. What does it mean to lead esports operations? Essentially, I oversee all activities that we are involved in from an execution perspective. That includes online competition, platform ops, broadcast production, live events, et cetera, et cetera. Anything and everything that we have our hands on comes through me in some capacity, and I have some really incredible folks under me that help to make sure everything we do is done at the highest level possible. We are a part of Playfly Sports, and were acquired back in 2020. In case you don't know who Playfly is, they're a sports media company and the multimedia rights holder for many Power 4 schools. Prior to Playfly, we were known as CSL, or Collegiate Star League, property some of you may still be familiar with, and we did have the opportunity to work with Josh back in the Newell days as well. Essentially, we're an operations company. We host esports competitions for colleges, universities, and high schools. In some cases, that's through our owned and operated properties, like Angela mentioned, newly minted Playfly College Esports, and in other cases, it is through partnership and third-party orgs like NASCAR and iRacing in the college space, and groups like AIA, the Arizona Interscholastic Association, in the high school space. I am typically behind the scenes, so very excited to be here and chat with y'all today.
Great. Thank you so much, Curtis. Great to have you. And it's really evident that a lot of these executives have been around for many, many years and have really helped shape and form what we see as college esports today. So, Ed, I want to start with you because what Vanta is doing is making a huge impact in not only high school, but middle school esports as well. And so, Ed, it would be great, and Ed's been our partner for several years now, and we work very closely together. It would be great to hear from you, Ed, like what is going on in the middle school and the high school space, and just the current kind of like state of it, and where is it going, and how has our partnership and other partnerships helped in any way to grow that industry.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So yeah, the partnership with CSMG and EsportsU has been tremendous with our mission and really focus of providing pathways to career in higher ed. Oftentimes that we're seeing in the scholastic side are challenges on how to get started. And then once you do get started, how do you actually lead that to specific outcomes? Otherwise, it becomes just recreational play and it's really going nowhere. And to get broad support across the K-12 space, which is really our focus, our goal is to develop leaders of character that make positive change in our communities. Our focus is to really find ways and partners that can really extend the story beyond the specific the grade level. And so we look to build communities within the middle school, high school, even elementary. It's a growth area actually right now. But to create safe places, provide coaching instruction, and provide ways in which they can actually see where this is going. And I think having, to be part of the CECC event, with our Texas League finals for high school and middle school, we get the opportunity, with the help of our partners like CSMG, to provide what it looks like at the college level. And so families can now see where this is going, and so they see those opportunities. And so our thought here is that we want to make sure that partners, as well as our audience, have a very clear understanding of where this is going and the impact that they have when they get involved. So we're seeing middle schools and high schools really jumping on the esports train, so to speak, because they're starting to see these stories come to fruition. And more, you're seeing also data, evidence showing that the impact that gaming has in the classroom. They come to school more, higher graduation rates. They're not getting into trouble as much. They're more confident themselves, less anxiety. All this stuff is coming together from just having an esports program. And by having in-person activations and events like CECC, we can really tell the story in that local community, and then broadly as well, nationally. So we see a lot of interest now in the K-12 space, mainly because of the outcomes that we've been able to produce in such a short period of time.
Thank you, Ed. That's wonderful. I'm just curious, like, where does it start inside a school? Like, is there a champion on campus, or does it start as a club activity, or like, who gets it going?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, because every school has a different starting point. And at Vanta, we're a very different organization. We're very grassroots. We build it from scratch because they need that helping hand. And so, first of all, I think it's really important to find that champion, and then to have that champion get the correct buy-in from administration, from parents, from players, understanding that there's interest, from the player perspective, from the school perspective. That's a necessary foundational starting point. And then there becomes an educational type of conversation, and then an infrastructure conversation. What technology resources do you have? What physical space do you have? And then programming. What do you want to get out of this? Where do you want to go? Are you looking to be a state champion, or you want to get scholarships, or do you want to actually have these kids learn specific skills? So I think when we start out, it starts with having a champion, and then we kind of just blossom from there. But a lot of times, a lot of schools, they may have the tech or not, they may have a champion or not, they may not have funding, but we're able to creatively work through all those challenges to get, at the end of the day, to start an after-school program. I think that's where the starting point happens, and then from there they can start exploring other ways to apply esports within within their curriculum, within the school day if they wanted to. But I think it just starts with finding a person who will be that champion for their after-school program.
Mm-hmm. Great. And I just want to add, and if any of you have ever been able to attend one of our events, May Madness, the last two that we had at Esports Stadium Arlington, Vanta was our partner there, and they held the Texas middle school and high school state champions there. And Ed, I don't even know, I think you guys do like 12 game titles or something.
Yep.
It's an amazing thing to see. They have their own stage. So they run competitions, and they have their own pit, their own stage. They run competitions. The thing that I love to see about high school and middle school students is the whole family comes. Mom and dad and the cousins and the grandparents. And it's really, really just a beautiful thing. So we love that partnership for the ability to have, like Ed said, have those younger students see, hey, this could be an opportunity that exists for you. And I'm hoping that it encourages them to do better in school while they're also getting to do something fun, compete at video games, and possibly get, a scholarship to go to college. So Ed is a very, very trusted partner, And we certainly enjoy working with you on that and our regional events as well. So
Thank you.
thank you for
Likewise.
all that. Let's go to Curtis. Curtis, you've been involved, like you said, 2015 in esports, also working on the traditional sports side at Playfly. How are you? Tell us a little bit, first of all, about your season coming up. And then also, how do you feel about partnerships? And maybe you can even tell a little bit about what we have planned for the coming year.
Sure. So I think, at least in terms of our season coming up, we are in the midst of the registration period. So really actively pushing registration for our college league, Playfly College Esports. For the first time, from our perspective, focusing kind of an individual effort on that varsity side of the equation, as well as coming back with our open programming, which I think is something really unique that we do. So continuing to offer, if anybody watching today has participated in a Star League over the last couple of years, that we expect things to look really similar to that for this year, just with the timing of our announcement. And any sort of drastic changes. We didn't want to do anything to upset the stability of the program, so did seek to keep things relatively similar to what they've been in the past in terms of the split between varsity and open, and what the competition looks like itself from a conference and group perspective, and rank-based divisions and plus. Can really go into the weeds there, I think, but I'll jump to sponsorships really quick, and then get back to what Angela mentioned about what we have cooking. But in terms of sponsorships, the high level view at least from the Playfly Sports perspective, and that's not just the esports division now, but also thinking from Parent Co. The assets across their sports sponsorships tend to skew older, whereas our
Okay.
audience on the esports side skews younger. So our integrations are very complementary to what they're doing, with broader national partnerships, especially those who are looking to reach multiple demographics in a meaningful way, and even more especially if one of those demos is Gen Z. On the partnership side specifically, I don't think our position has changed here, over the years, despite recent events. We are always looking for partners that want to help collectively advance college esports, and always willing to have a discussion with any like-minded group that shares that same mission. Angela, our announcement this morning to bring our spring event to CECC in partnership with CSMG and EsportsU is a really great example of that. So if you missed it, Playfly College Esports, our spring LAN, will be held at CECC next year, and that'll bring the best from the fall and the best from the spring together into one additional meaningful experience to kind of cap off and celebrate the previous year of competition. And there will be additional bids into CECC available if the schools have not already earned their way. Really excited about that, and something that I know we have been working on for some time now.
Yes, these things do take time. Curtis, what game titles are you planning on having?
So all of our season will consist of all of the usual titles that we have ran historically. We run 11 different titles: Call of Duty, Counter-Strike 2, Rainbow Six Siege, Overwatch 2, Rocket League, League of Legends, Valorant, Smash, Hearthstone, Fortnite, and one more that I can't think of off the top of my head. Dota 2 as our sort of league products, and then we run in partnership with some of our third-party partners. We run the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, the PUBG Mobile Campus Championship for Tencent, and the Collegiate Chess Championship with chess.com. In terms of what is coming to CECC, it'll be sort of our core 8 titles that we run in a seasonal structure. And again, that's Call of Duty, Counter-Strike, Rainbow Six, Overwatch 2, Rocket League, Smash, Valorant, and League of Legends.
That's excellent.
Very exciting.
And for
we've
very
historically
exciting for
ran.
now. We're
Sorry, I just wanted to add. I
No.
think we've historically ran much more intimate experiences over the past couple of years. Just the 2 teams at the end coming together for a final in-person championship match, and we're looking to bring 8 teams per title, now 64 teams in total, to this celebration of college esports. So could not be happier to be expanding to that and creating those additional opportunities, but also to be doing it alongside CSMG and EsportsU.
super excited as well. Thank you, Curtis, so much. Okay, now let's go to Josh. Josh, so great to have you here. I've been following your organization for years. They're just a wonderful organization. You do a lot of things overseas. You worked very, very closely with Riot and are a very well respected and trusted partner of Riot. We've certainly enjoyed getting to work with you and getting to know your team deeper and just kind of understanding what your objectives are. But would love to hear a little bit about your thoughts on, what's coming up for GG Tech this year, and as well as, kind of what your mindset and, thoughts are around growing partnerships and alliances in general in the college space.
Yeah, so I think our main focus right now, in particular in the North America collegiate space, is very much around college League of Legends and Valorant. There are 2 sort of flagship products in North America right now. So, last year was our first year in the North America collegiate space, which has been a big learning curve for us. We've definitely received a lot of feedback, and are currently sort of taking that into consideration right now into how that applies into next season. So we're making some exciting announcements about next season in the sort of coming weeks, taking that feedback into account. I think for us, partnerships are critical to making what we do work, and I would say more broadly in the collegiate space. We have a number of partner conferences that we work with that feed into our college championship. And again, they're doing a lot of great work on trying to work with the universities to help improve standards, try and educate the administrations about the value of esports, and especially for those that are much more ingrained in sort of traditional sport. So they play a really important role. We're always looking at, different partners to work with, especially in North America, because, we're so new into this space. We're not coming in here claiming that we understand everything about collegiate esports in North America. We're still, finding our feet to a certain extent. So, speaking to, let's say people like yourselves at CSMG, last year we worked with Boise State to host our finals there, who, did an incredible job. Both in terms of helping us provide a great experience for the students that were playing, but also students that are on their programs learning how to do esports production, for example. So we're always looking for different organizations that we can collaborate with. First of all, to improve the experience for the students that are involved in the schools. Again, I don't think there's one organization that can do everything. Everybody has different strengths, weaknesses, relationships with different organizations that can really add value. And another major factor for us with partnerships, to be transparent about it, is how can we help reduce costs and make what we're doing more sustainable? Because I feel like that's a collective challenge that we've got in this space right now. Both in the collegiate space and more widely within esports more generally. It's a tough market right now, so people that we can collaborate with and work with to help reduce costs create a better experience or help us unlock more revenue, definitely, interesting partners to have. Because there's lots of people doing different things in this space, and I think what you're doing with CCC is fantastic in terms of bringing all these different groups together to let's say not only help make things more sustainable in terms of reducing the costs, but also looking at how you can then collectively build something more valuable that helps everybody commercialize, and through that make it a much more sustainable adventure and prospect for everybody.
Josh, that's wonderful. You just stole my finishing statement.
Sorry.
So beautiful. No, beautifully said, actually. And I think it's really important for the audience to know is that everything that we're doing, all of us collectively and everyone in the scholastic esports space, it's not easy. Not everything is figured out. There's no playbook that all of us are going by. And we literally spend a lot of time with all of you, and as well as a lot of other partners in the industry. We literally spend talking about how do we do exactly what Josh said, make the space more sustainable. How do we keep our properties alive and well so that students have the opportunity to compete, that more STEM students want to go to college. So I just think it's worth saying that none of this is easy that we're all doing. And whether we, end up doing something, really in depth with each of these partners, that's wonderful. But even when we don't, we all still work together and have a similar, almost like hive mind of how do we improve things? How do we make the experience better for students? How do we really, create commercial products that we can actually go out, take out into the marketplace, check those boxes that brands want, which is, impressions, engagements, concurrent viewers, as well as just building visibility and affinity in this space. And once any of us get a brand on board, there's then an entire, back end of data and analytics that we're having to keep track of and deliver. So, none of this is easy. It's, we can take inspiration from traditional sports, but it's much different. And it's not at the level of where traditional sports, is. And it's going to look very, very different in the future from traditional sports. So it's all of us as key stakeholders in this space are working together to sort of unlock that magic formula that continues to allow brands like McDonald's and EdU, Talkies, and all of these other groups to come to the table and say, hey, this is an audience that I appreciate. But for the most part, all of the companies that you're looking at here are the investors in this space. And we are actually creating those properties that can commercialize the space. So, Derek, let's go to you. Would love to hear more about UPA and your thoughts on partnerships and alliances.
Yeah. And that you kind of touched on it, the sustainability. That's kind of what we're looking to basically bring to the table with our college league, because obviously our professional side of the house is more like fostering the elite competition, focusing on the high level performance, and providing that kind of pathway for players to aspire to throughout their career. So I mean, that's basically what we're looking at doing, just creating that sustainability, and obviously mirroring, or at least taking some of that traditional professional sports leagues that are out there, and using kind of their blueprint a little bit, and obviously evolving it and changing it up to the esports space, where we can develop kind of that top tier talent and provide that platform for players to really showcase their skills on a national stage. That's kind of what we're looking at and what we do on our professional side. already. But bringing that to the college scene, obviously, it's a little different story. We're looking to be more holistic in view. We know that college esports is more than just about competing on a stage and playing video games. It's a lot more to it. There's education, personal development, and the community engagement. That's why we're aiming to not really support only the players, but the broader student body as a whole. We're working with like initiatives such as like broadcasting programs where we have our broadcasters going to work with students who want to get that hands-on experience with media and streaming and casting. They're going to work hand in hand with them, kind of give them that kind of background. And then another one of our initiatives, kind of in the design department, that we've talked to some schools already about, designing like the jerseys and different things, having their students design those jerseys, and then doing a bracket style March Madness jersey competition of which jersey should our team wear in the upcoming season. Really getting the whole campus kind of involved, because ultimately that's our goal, is to expand the community, and that's how we make it more sustainable. Kind of like you
Mhm.
mentioned. And I know some people out there. I kind of just want to bring it up because I know some people out there are like, well, how are you guys coming if the NBA 2K League is taking a break or taking a hiatus? So I mean, that's kind of what the space we're in right now, what everyone's kind of asking us. So I mean, obviously them taking a break, figuring out what they want to do, that's going to allow us to kind of elevate the space on the NBA 2K side. Since we've already had our leagues going for what 10 years, 10 plus years now, with Ev, Lux, and LT, and the rest of the UPA team that they've spent time building that community up, from the ground up, essentially, on their side. But kind of working with the 2K League and the 2K development side of the house, working with them hand in hand with the relationships we have built, and just expanding those. Even if their NBA 2K League's not around, there's other opportunities out there professionally, that we're taking advantage of through those relationships and those connections. So it's not only going to help build those relationships with them, but it's also going to build up that community, especially on a college campus, because people playing traditional sports on a college campus is obviously that those numbers are massive. So showing them there's a path, through not only League of Legends and Valorant, like the other games out there already competing, but NBA 2K and other traditional sports have a space as well, that they just don't know about, and that's what we're here for. Bring that awareness to them that there's more out there for them.
That's amazing. Thank you, Derek. And how has your reception been when you go out and talk to sponsors? It seems to me that traditional sports titles would almost be easier for sponsors to wrap their head around. Have you found that to be true?
Yes and no. I mean, obviously, it depends on the person we're talking to. If because if even if they're at a brand and they don't really necessarily watch traditional sports at all. So it's kind of, I always call it like playing poker, right? When you're talking to someone, like you're kind of reading them on seeing what they kind of know in their background, and then kind of obviously catering your conversation to them. But so I don't know. The conversations we've had have been amazing, because obviously people out there want to reach the college scene because it's huge, massive, and I don't know. Everyone out there seems to get along, so talking with them has been great, especially with the schools and their programs, because they want to get more students involved, grow the esports programs, and make it bigger. And then alternatively to administration, because since you kind of mentioned other brands, so like when we talk to administrations, I think Spencer yesterday on the call was talking about it, like having those administrations understanding like those rivalries, like Michigan, Ohio State, like having them play, like if you put them on a college basketball in the traditional scene, it's huge. But then if you had their esports programs, like let's say they're playing on one of the basketball courts in front of fans and everything, just kind of heightens that gameplay. So I mean, that's huge opportunities there that we want to take advantage of.
That's great. That's great. When does your season kick off?
Yeah, so it kicks off. Our signups are going to open up extremely soon, either end of this week or
Okay.
beginning of next week is our goal. It's going to go through October 1st, and then October 14th is the official start date of the regular season for us.
Okay. Any live events on the horizon for the
Yep. So
season?
we're talking to numerous different programs about utilizing their space on campus. A bunch of them have spaces opening up, actually in the like January, February timeframe, opening up, and they want us to come in and use their space. So it's just coordinating with them to do the conference tournaments that we have planned, and then obviously our national tournament scene whenever we kind of get that wrapped up and announced.
That sounds great. Very, very exciting. I really like the idea of seeing more and more live events, live regional events growing across campuses. I hope we see that happen a lot this year, across all different kinds of game titles and conferences. So we're very supportive and excited about all of that. And we always really seek to find sponsors that have that same objective, to have not only an online presence in front of our community, but a live presence as well. So super excited about that. Well, this has been amazing. I'd like to, if we can, let's go back around one more time and essentially just hear from you all, your general view on kind of where scholastic esports is headed and how you think the, academic system looks at it, and, where they see it going, and how all of us can play a key role in shaping that. So, Ed, we'll start with you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so where we see the scholastic industry headed is we're seeing a lot more program being started at the K-12 level. We're seeing more education being taught across that space. So there's more sustainability, and you have a larger audience. And so we're seeing that starting to take further shape. We're also starting to see programs that have been some of the earlier adopters of esports to start providing additional coaching. We're seeing schools actually bring back their alumni to come and be part of the development of their high school, middle school, even elementary school programs. So college kids, even people post higher ed, they're coming back to to help them out in a cost effective way and also in an experience way. So I think this has been really transformative. Is actually getting you see sort of like a snowball effect as they graduate more people. They circle back and they provide their experience to the next wave of players on what they've seen and done and where the opportunities are, and this allows the teachers and the champions at the school to kind of get more experience as well. We're seeing at the state and federal level more interest in getting involved because they see the impact. We're seeing a lot on nonprofits. We're seeing on militaries and corporations. They're seeing the interest in this space, so it allows us to have a lot more conversations about what we're trying to do in the scholastic side. And so we're seeing more partnerships within these verticals. Either they're wanting to be part of a live event or a digital experience, or they really want to have more impact in the classroom in some capacity because they understand that a lot of schools are having challenges with budget. So they want to sponsor maybe coaching or workforce development through professional development. And then they also want that culminating event where they can see it in a live way, where there's a community building opportunity, but a showcase of all the development that's happened. And this allows colleges now to then be part of that conversation and kind of link what their story is with K-12. So we're seeing a very layered sort of communities being established in an ecosystem. So it's a lot more like tightly connected, and we're seeing more infrastructure being established, which for me, when we're talking, I hear from what Derek said, sustainability. So if the denominator, if the audience is getting bigger, then a lot more people can see value in their dollar spent, and so we're seeing that as a major trend in the K-12 space.
Thank you, Ed. I love that. And in 2025, I want us to get better at creating those purposeful moments for students to get to meet coaches that may have scholarship opportunities for them. We see that happening organically at May Madness weekend. You'll have folks like Amon Green come, and they're there to recruit players. Recruiting players is a very big deal now. So we've got to create that sort of magic moment where those students can, be on display and on stage for those coaches to see that. So very exciting. Okay, let's see, Curtis, let's go with you. What's your big picture vision for college esports, and where would you like to help shape it to?
I think what we will see maybe this year, maybe more so in the years to come, is more consolidation in college esports specifically. I think we have to for the sustainability of this space. We at Playfly are fans of consolidation, obviously. Um, right now, you have all of these groups individually trying to be a slightly different flavor of the same thing. And we are one of them. I'm not saying those groups as if they are, somebody else, recognizing that we are in the mix here now. And I think in the short term, that is good for driving innovation and, really making sure that quality assurance is top of mind, if that makes sense. But long term, it doesn't feel like it is in the best interest of the community to have such a wealth of similar options available, all targeting the same audience. So I think from that perspective, the varsity, highly structured space is going to look very different in the years to come. I do want to speak briefly on our open product, which I think we will continue to drive. And I think it's really unique because so many of these groups focus on that subset of college esports, the varsity programs. But we see, the purely student-run clubs and just the five friends on campus that like to play together. We see that as a really underserved audience that is, really ripe for the picking. An esports program may have 100 players, but if there's 45,000 kids on campus, most of them are likely gamers of some kind. And I think their more focus has to go into that group. And I know that's something, even as CSL, we have always tried to provide a place for everybody to play, kind of regardless of who you are. So we'll continue to do that, but I think that will be an area, a focus area, in the years to come for more folks, I think.
Thank you, Curtis. And I couldn't agree with you more. And I think we continue to see more consolidation. I know that brands would appreciate a consolidation because they're probably bombarded with all these different groups and don't really know where to, put their attention to. So I think that's something that we definitely will see grow. And like, I agree with you that almost every student on campus must be a gamer or close to it. I think Chris in his trends report, it's a big number, big percentage of people on campus are gamers. And I think ultimately that's what the brands actually want the access to. So growing beyond just the esports programs is very, very important for us as well. So we appreciate that your objective as well. Josh, what's your big picture for college?
Yeah, I mean, sort of build on particularly Curtis's point, but Ed's as well. I think it's really about, like we've just been talking about, reaching that sort of like wider gaming audience on campus. I think the biggest challenges that we're going to have as as an ecosystem is the sustainability, like we talked about earlier, but then also how do we reach beyond the current audience? So thinking about how can we get on campus, looking at different types of experiences that will appeal to a wider audience as well. Not everybody wants to play in an 8-week long super competitive competition, right? But as it's been mentioned many times, there are lots and lots of gamers on campus. So thinking about how we can adapt what we offer to help reach those students, both in terms of providing value for them and creating a really cool experience, but also try and create something valuable from a commercial point of view as well to help fund that. So I think that's going to be a big challenge. I think it's also while doing that, not forgetting about how we sort of create value for those varsity programs as well, and making sure we continue to provide a reason for colleges to keep investing in esports as well and taking it seriously. I think it's not a given, or we can't take it for granted that collegiate esports will be taken seriously by institutions, for forever. We've got to keep, investing and providing value for them. And I think it's really sad to see the news about, what happened at St. Louis, who, won our, CLOL championship, this last year. And see that program shut down is incredibly sad, given all the hard work that, Nick and the team there had, put into that, and been real pioneers in the space. So, we don't want to see more of that as well, because I think that will be detrimental for us all in the long term too.
Great. Thank you. That's a great insight. And I think, the same thing goes for Ed and the high school, at the high school level. We hope they continue to see the value and what opportunity it may bring to those students looking for college opportunity. So Derek, we'll finish with you. What's your big picture thoughts for college esports?
Yeah. So being new to the scene, obviously still a bit of a learning curve, but we are diving deep into it. I kind of see like we all were talking about, the wider audience and experiences. I feel like that's where kind of our side of the house, bringing in NBA 2K and a new game to the college scene. Well, not really a new game, but new game as far as it goes with collegiate sports. Bringing that 5-on-5 competition, and those experiences that you kind of saw on camera with the NBA 2K League, and you see at numerous events in person every year. Just bringing that whole experience and environment of playing 5-on-5 basketball with your buddies and with your teammates, just like traditionally, and then bringing the new kind of experience to with it being on a video game, and then allowing them to see, oh hey, like I also play League of Legends. I didn't know League of Legends had a college esports scene. So it's connecting those audiences, but also growing them and making them wider, showing them that there's more opportunities out there. So that's where I kind of see it. I do wish just coming in from an outsider's perspective, it does feel a little kind of like you said. I always call it like a little bit like the wild, wild west out there, because there's so many different conferences and groups, and it's definitely hard to understand, especially if you do have the traditional background, to understand that a conference is kind of different than the traditional sports colleges or conferences are, and how they act. But once you kind of understand that and learn and get your head around it, it does make sense. It's trying to figure out how to like simplify that for the outsiders and the brands and everything. I think that'll help as we keep going and making this bigger and better. And I know from our side with I will announce we have a partnership with League OS for our regular season and our tournament platform. We're going to be using them and kind of leaning on them because they've been in the collegiate space. And Marty and the team over there kind of bring that and help us out with that. So they've been a big help. Learning from them and helping jump into the space, learning how it all works. But ultimately, I think, the space is huge. It's only going to get bigger, and I think that's where NBA 2K kind of fits in our side with the EPA.
Good luck, Derek.
Awesome.
Thanks, Curtis.
The wild, wild west. Yes, we all know it too well, too well. We're really just wranglers here, college esports wranglers. So, well, I appreciate all of you. Thank you for joining. I know our audience appreciated hearing all of your plans for the season and your thoughts on college esports. Thank you all for being such wonderful stakeholders in the space and continuing to drive it every day with a lot of passion and a lot of grit and a lot of strategy. Nothing is random that we do. So we appreciate all of you. And to our audience, thank you for tuning in. And I think we might have one more panel after this one. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Hi, and welcome to our final panel of the week. Thank you for everybody for being here for the entire week and every panel that we've had amazing guests. And now I'm closing it off on our future of esports and you. And in this panel, we'll talk to leaders in the space about the future of esports and how it impacts us all. If Joey, Jay, and Christian, if you don't mind just introducing yourself real quick.
Joey,
Sure.
you got
Yeah,
it. You're the most attractive one here.
Oh.
That's not it. I got the least amount of hair, so we'll go by least hair first. All right, how about that? All right. So my name is Joey Griesiak. I'm the executive director of esports here at Syracuse University. I've been here for about a year. I keep moving, and I've gone from one school to another. Started at University of Georgia in a program there. Not really on the esports side, but went up to Shenandoah University after that, started the esports program, and now I've been here at Syracuse for a year, where I oversee all aspects of esports on campus. I've been involved in a lot of different organizations, working on esports curriculum, as well as the competitive side of esports. So really excited to be here to talk about the future. We got a lot to talk about here because there's a lot of exciting stuff going on in esports, not only at Syracuse, but also just around the world. And I'm excited to hear from other people on this panel, myself, and get to talk to you all about the future of esports and you.
Thank you, Joey. Jay, you want to go next?
Yeah, I would love to go next. I thought you were going to be my biggest hater today, Tony, but it seems like you're going to be my biggest fan throughout the entire day. Hello, everybody. My name is Jay DeShong. I'm the director of esports operations here at Grand Canyon University. I've been here for about 3 years. I joined in October of 2021 as the youngest esports director in the United States at 22. And that was after I started the esports program or club at Mississippi State, where I grew up from 30 people to 100. As you can imagine, that led to some opportunities for me in the world of professional esports, where I worked for Coca-Cola, the Dallas Fuel, Team Envy, Team Optic, different folks like that. Eventually, all that experience led me to GCU, where I now run a 2,000 person program where we focus on career development and character development for all of our students and players.
Thank you, Jay. And last but not least, Christian.
Hey, everybody. I'm a student, first and foremost, and I was the president of the esports club at Penn State last year. Currently not this year, but that's okay. We still keep trucking along. I also primarily ran events at Penn State, so I did so 2 years ago starting, and then also ran events last year, and I will continue to do so as much as possible this year too. That was my main goal for being the president of the esports club. Not much you can do as opposed to, two directors here. But still, we gained a lot of interest in these two events, not only just from students inside our club, but also schools coming outside of the club. We grew the event from a small, 7-team event, 7-school event, to over 30 schools participating last year, which was awesome. We certainly raised a big prize pool and one of the largest in-person attendances and spaces to rent out last year as well. So overall, we certainly improved our event space last year, and we continue to work with students to gain interest and get more people involved in the club as well.
Thank you. So I just want to start off by saying this is going to be a discussion between all of us, and I want to hear from everybody. And looking at esports as a whole and beyond just scholastic, what changes have you observed that are important to share with the community? So this could literally be about business, broadcasting, tournaments, live events, anything that you want to touch upon. So Joey, do you want to go first and start this conversation?
Sure. I love going first. Perfect. I get to lead it off, and then I can pass it off to people much smarter than me to actually make up for all my mistakes. So great batting lead off. I definitely don't hate it. So I think beyond the scholastic scene, a couple of points that I see, right? Obviously, we could talk about a lot of different things. One of them is a lot of people are saying, the professional scene, it's esports winter, right? It's in a bad space. People are downsizing. To me, it's more of a market correction that people need to pay attention to, because sure, there is some downsizing of some organizations or some teams, and they're reevaluating kind of what their priorities are and how they're generating revenue. But viewership numbers still remain to be strong in esports, right? I keep saying it's going to be all right, and we're going to get through this esports winter and make it to esports spring. And I think we are slowly getting there. So that's really positive. It's really encouraging. And we know that esports is going to be around and going to be strong going forward. Another point is a lot of things are happening in the Saudi Arabia region of the world, right? Beyond the scholastic world that all of us are working in and involved in here, especially here in the US and in North America. The Saudi region has a lot going on, and people need to pay attention to what's going on out there. And I certainly don't hate what they're doing, because they're investing a lot of money out there, and they want to be a big player in the space. And they play a lot of different games and offer a lot of different opportunities with esports and gaming. I mean, the World Cup that's going on right now. You've got the esports Olympics going on next year. So there's just a lot of opportunities out there that we're seeing. So people need to pay attention to that Saudi region and what's going on in that area. I think that's another big point. So I think those are the two biggest things that I have seen right now, is beyond the scholastic side of things, is that there remains to be positivity and opportunity, even though we've gone through this so-called esports winter and I get into the esports spring. And that Saudi region, we need to keep paying attention to what's going on out there, keep seeing like all the investment being made out in that region, because there's a lot of money still in esports. There's a lot of opportunities still in esports, a lot of development opportunities. So I think that those are, to me, some of the biggest points. But I'll leave it there, because I don't want to take up all the space or get all the bullet points and pass that off. But that to me are two things that people need to pay attention to.
Thank you, Joey. Christian, do you want to state your opinion?
Yeah, sure. I'd say I'd like to point out the differences in that the non-scholastic part of esports differs from the college atmosphere. I'd say in general, esports at a professional level works a lot different. It views a lot different than the college space. It's a lot more online, and it's a lot less in person. Those are differences that people are used to when they come into college, but can certainly be changed and be way different, a way different experience than you get in the college atmosphere. So I'd say, in general, the best way for any innovations in esports to work, especially at the college level, is to differentiate yourself from the professional level. It works the same in many different sport industries. You don't go to a college football game to see the best players in the world. You would go to an NFL game. And that works the same way. It's because, you're looking to go to a college football game for a sense of community and really just cheering on people that you go to, the same classes with. I'd say this type of differentiation is important in growing your community and also, improving the esports atmosphere in the collegiate scene.
Thank you. And Jay?
I'll say it's like Joey and Christian are in my brain, and at this point, I think it's because we've all been on too many dates together. Joey and I have spoken a couple of times together. Christian, I know this is our first time meeting, but it feels like we're in each other's heads, and we've been on multiple dates, so this is awesome. What I want to say is kind of a piggyback of what Joey and Christian both have, which is really just that esports is kind of resetting, right? And what I think it's resetting to, both in the professional world and in the collegiate world, scholastic world, is we're going back to the community, right? You see that in the Overwatch League returning to events like DreamHack. Now, a lot more people are going to have access to an event like that. There's going to be a lot more people at an event like that. So it goes back to kind of what Christian was talking about, where maybe you're not going to see the best players in the world. Maybe you're just going to hang out with your friends, or maybe you're going to meet up with a group of people that you met on Discord, right? And so I think what we're seeing right now is we're just seeing a resetting of the esports world, and we're having a refocus on the community, which is the way it's always been. And we lost some focus on it, but it's the way it should always be. So I think now we're just refocusing on the things that matter, both in the world of collegiate, scholastic, and even professional esports.
Thank you, Jay. Do you think that there are any, or there have been any visible changes in our fan or player bases within esports? Have these observations affected you or your organization? Jay, do you want to just keep going and answer that?
I'm just going to start with, it's always been a smaller piece of the things that we have at Mississippi State and at GCU, right? We have a 2,000 person community at GCU, and we had an 800 person community at Mississippi State. Only 10 to 15% of those students represent kind of esports fans or even esports players, right? So for us, it's remained the same as it's always been. There's a small piece of the gaming community on campus that really cares a lot about esports. And the rest of them really care about exactly what we mentioned before. It's that community and finding a home on campus. So those are the different things that we're seeing with our community. And for me, it's the same as it's always been.
I guess I'll go to Joey next, starting at Syracuse. I don't want to say this is probably year one for you. If you wanna touch on your player and fan base.
Yeah, this, like you said, Tony, and we are going into kind of year one right now, and I could go on about how we're still building things and how we're still looking to grow things, but we're there. We are setting kind of a standard now for what esports can be on campus here at Syracuse, and it's really exciting. And so it's hard for me to talk about changes that we're seeing in our fan base or player base, but I will say that I'm seeing so many different people kind of coming out of the woodworks that are like, hey, I want to be involved in esports. I'm not where Jay is, where he's building this fan base and this participation base of 2,000 people yet. I kind of came in and there was already 1,300, 1,400 people in our club here. And, that's not fake. That's real students that are involved in what's going on. And I'm not here to like shake things up or anything like that. I'm here to build on what's going on already on campus. And so instituting a new major going into this year and having varsity programming going into this year and just enhancing what we've already had here at Syracuse is really all I'm trying to do and not get in the way. But we want to build on that community to bring in the larger fan base and the more casual student, to introduce them to what esports and gaming can be on a campus like this, to cheer for their classmates they have, in their psychology class or biology class. But now that student's playing Rocket League, and this is somebody that should be paid attention to and respected for what they're doing. And I think we want to build that value up and that community up here on campus in a way that's very real to students. So it's hard for me to say like the changes I've seen, because right now we are starting kind of at this base and we want to build that community up to get to a place where it's really popular and successful. And we think it's going to get there. I mean, we have, and probably behind me, you might be able to see students walking around campus a little bit because we are just having move-in right now on campus for our students. And we've already been wearing shirts around that say esports on it, because we just have to get the word out that this is a thing on campus that everybody can be part of. Whether they're casual gamers, high-level gamers, very competitive, not very competitive, just want to hang out and play Dungeons and Dragons or sim racing or VR. We have opportunities literally for everybody, because we just want to build a base of fans, participants, and in student engagement in a way that Syracuse hasn't had in the past, in a way that we are learning from other institutions. So that's kind of our goal right now. And I think we'll get there really quickly. And I'm excited to really kick the year off and get the semester started, because seeing the excitement already, it's only going to keep getting bigger and bigger on campus.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing, Joey. Christian, as a student, do you get any different kind of experience from being literally in class with these people? Do you see any differentiation of fans and actual people that want to play? Oh, you might be muted.
Sorry. Yep, I was.
There you go.
I have a loud air conditioner in the back. Sorry. All right. I
You're
will
all
start with
good.
agreeing that I came into Penn State with seeing, a Discord filled with over 2,000 members and alumni. And so, while I didn't focus on, let's grow this out as much as possible so we can get as much, text navigation or texting back and forth between people to become friends and play games together. I certainly tried to utilize the most amount of school resource that we could to get people involved. But what you miss out with that is a huge amount of just students that want to do the basics, which is, get together with someone and play a video game at the esports center that we have now, or something similar to that. To answer your question a bit more specifically, I'd say it really was the easiest thing to make friends when joining a team for the esports club. I played Overwatch with our esports team for 3 years, and the first year we did really well, and then after that it was pretty much us just being friends, messing around, and that just happened because I just figured, well, why not? I might as well fill my day with something fun at the end of the day. And that was all it took. And now I have some lifelong friends because of that, and international friends as well that I never would have met. So that bridge that it creates, meeting international students and friends that you never would have, really is the easiest way to get involved and it's something that should be explored not just in the competitive scene, because I had the luxury of being really good at Overwatch and joining the team, but it should also be allowed for students that aren't so good at video games, and just want to have a casual time to also get that same experience and get a friend along the way playing a video game. So yeah, I'd say that's what needs to improve the most. And I'd say Penn State is doing a good job of starting that up again.
So basically, Christian, you think that programs should have that bridge gap between just a community gaming and competitive gaming.
For sure,
It's where you
yeah.
make your friends.
Definitely. That was the most divided part of our community was, well, we have funding for competitive players, but not casual. How do we keep that, how do we keep the levels equal? Because we have a huge amount of people that just want to join the club to, make a friend as opposed to, travel and compete. And so that's the biggest challenge that we're trying to solve for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're not the only one. I know a lot of directors and coaches. There's always concern on that, and I think as a whole in the space, we could definitely come together to figure out the best way to have our casual gamers more elevated. But I don't have the answer for anybody right now. Which actually, speaking about Scholastic, what are your current state of Scholastic Esports looking on your campus, and are you satisfied with it? And what would you like to see more of? If anyone wants to go first, I know it's a loaded question. I'll give the floor to you, Joey. Joey doesn't want to go first this time, so I'll go, Jay.
At the end of the day, because the player's going to play, I got to jump in there, right? So the heartbreakers are going to heartbreak like Joey, and the players are going to play like me. So I'm going to jump into it, Joey, and save you. Don't worry about it, man. For us, what it looks like on campus is we're thriving, right? We've grown from when I got here in October of 2021, 2022, from the 600 to 700 students that we had at the time to, again, now we're at 2,000, right? So we're thriving. And we're actually, I know we're going to get to this at some point today, but we're actually starting to be integrated academically on our campus as well. We actually just got adopted by the College of Arts and Media on our campus, and that says a lot to everybody about the fact that we're here to stay, right? So for us, what it really means is we're going to have our talents deep in this university, and we're going to be able to continue to provide opportunities and experiences for students that, one, obviously they'll never forget, but two, that they'll be able to carry with them for the rest of their lives and into the professional world.
Thank you, Jay. Christian, what would you like to see different? As I know you say you're a club, I don't know if there's a different kind of look of how you see it from a club to a program. And are you satisfied with it? Would you like to make that club a program on campus?
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. So we don't work very similarly to a lot of other schools. Weirdly enough, we don't have an esports director, and that's not because we haven't gone through that process. It's more because our school just does not work the same way as you all guys. And I was we've gone through the process when I was before I was president, and as I was president as well. And we also talk with a lot of other schools, namely University of Maryland, who has an esports director as well, to see how they operate. And really the biggest problem that probably other schools are facing as well is that their school may not be able to get an esports director as easily as others. And there are a lot of benefits that come with a dedicated staff member to get your school up and running, because we have less ability to travel to events. But on the flip side, because our school works a bit differently, we have a lot of funding to make our own events. And that's something I try to and currently operate, making events happen at Penn State. But the problem is you leave out a good amount of people that want to see travel time, and also you leave out the opportunity to give funding to your more casual base, as I said last time. So because of this, you really do have to make a lot of sacrifices as president. What do you want to do most is really what you got to choose to do. Do you want to you really have to focus on one aspect when it comes to our type of bureaucracy, or else what's going to happen is you're just going to split yourself too thin and you're going to get nothing done for that year. So I'd say it definitely just happens to work out to how does our school work, and what's the most that we can do this year to grow our club at the current moment.
Yeah, and Joey, is there anything in the current state of Scholastic Esports that you would like to see more of or change or anything like that?
Whew. For me, I think it's, gosh, this is hard. I got nothing. No, I do have stuff I could talk about. These I just talked about a lot, but I do have some stuff. I think it's going back to some of the points about a cohesive effort on a campus, I think is really important, because there are so many different departments on campus that maybe have heard of esports, are interested in esports, and maybe they want academics or professional development, or they want clubs, they want varsity stuff, they want facilities. And I think finding people on that campus to really be champions for it, to make it a cohesive effort moving forward that can kind of center on esports, and then figure out what different parts of campus can then be part of it. Because when you've got different people like kind of fighting over different parts of what esports can be on campus and student engagement, it can be pretty difficult. And I told them, hey, I can't stop. I can't stop what I'm doing right now to focus on this part and leave out this other part of esports. So I think right now on college campuses around the country, we just have to understand, what is that role of esports in higher education? What are the downfalls? Where are the difficulties? And for some old school people, we'll just call them old school people on college campuses, they might be a little hesitant to what esports can be. And I hear that, but I just, I shake it off and I move forward and make sure they understand what the educational value of an esports program on campus can be for current and future learners. And that doesn't mean it has to be just academics or has to be just student engagement, has to be just a club. There are so many different ways that you can engage learners on a campus through this lens of esports and gaming. And I think we're just scratching the surface, but I think we're only able to scratch it because the upper administration in a lot of ways doesn't understand what that role is. There's a lot of other things they have to worry about, and I get that. It's nothing against them. It's just that they don't fully get what esports can be on a college campus, that it's more than just playing video games. So I think for a lot of us on here that we have to make sure that they do understand that. We have to define it for them and show them that there is a lot of value to this. And getting to that point is going to be difficult going forward, especially on big campuses. These big Research One institutions or Division One schools, they've been a little slower to adopt what esports can be in a bigger, more cohesive way. But I think we're going to get there eventually. It's just going to take time. So that's kind of what I'm seeing right now, is that everybody kind of wants esports. They want it in some capacity, but they don't really know what that looks like going forward and how to use it as a centralized mechanism going forward that can impact learners at so many different levels in a way that makes sense for that institution.
Joey, I'm going to stay with you real quick because I like what you said, that it's more than just playing video games. And I know how you said that there's the education part of it now with the majors and everything like that. I'm wondering if that helps people outside of esports basically know what goes into it and it's not just playing video games.
Yeah, I think it can. A lot of people will look at what esports is, and they don't see the educational part, right? Because a lot of times what they see is the flashy part, the lights, the people playing on computers. And I'm not a guy like, I don't like to, but I stay out too late sometimes on campus, and they might think that, oh, they're just doing this after hours. It's just extracurricular. There's not a lot of value there. They don't get it, right? Until you bring them into the space and introduce them to students that are part of these programs, because that academic side, it offers immense value. And I know Jay mentioned that they're starting to kind of ramp that side up as well. And that's exciting to hear, because historically, there have not been a ton of schools that have gone into it and really had these full, educational offerings for what esports can be. And I think esports has gotten a bad reputation kind of for having like an esports degree. What is that? What does it matter? What is that going to get you? It's not about the degree in order to get a job in esports. It's about offering transferable skills through this lens of esports and gaming that can work far outside of esports and gaming, and meeting students where they are and where their passions are and what they value. And I think that when people outside of esports that don't get what esports is, see the passion that students have to go to school, to be involved and be engaged on a college campus beyond just being in the classroom, I think that definitely helps. So to me, that educational part, that's where I came from. I got I've developed curriculum for sport management programs, and now I'm developing curriculum for esports programs. And that's where I really see the true value for what esports can offer in higher ed. That is an additional add-on to go with the varsity teams, the club teams, the facilities, the recreational, the intramural esports that we have on campuses. So it's really fun. It can be challenging at times, but I keep cruising and saying academics absolutely play a role in what we have on college campuses. And so certainly I will always be an advocate for the academic side of esports and the way that it can really enhance what esports can be on a college campus.
Yeah, I really like that, Joey. I mean, I wish when I was in college I had the education side of it, but unfortunately, I missed that shot. Jay, I would like to know, how has your campus for esports looked over the past few years? I know, I don't even know what year you're going into, but I've known you now for the last 4 years. So
Yep.
how is it changing, and what are you looking forward to this year?
Biggest thing I'm looking forward to is engaging different parts of our community that we haven't before, right? As I've mentioned a couple of different times, we're really big, and we're becoming an older entity on campus, right? We've almost been around for 10 years. We're getting close to 10 years in the next couple. So for us, it's looking like engaging. It's almost weird to say, because before with esports, we were looking to engage the forgotten abouts on our campus, right? But now we're looking to engage the people. We've engaged a lot of the forgotten abouts on our campus. Now we're looking to engage the athletes, and we're looking to engage the College of Business, and we're looking to engage the College of Theology, and we're looking to engage people who maybe don't feel like esports and gaming is for them. I'm kind of with Joey, right? There's this idea that you have to play a video game at a high level, or you have to eat Doritos for 12 hours a day to be a part of this, community. And that's not the case. Whether you're interested in game design, whether you're interested in film, whether you're interested in music, whether you like playing video games or any of those things, we can be a home for you, right? So what kind of esports on our campus looks like right now is figuring out ways to engage students who aren't as interested in esports inherently as the rest of our community.
Yeah, I really actually enjoy that. I hear the word community a lot, and I love it. You guys know what I do day to day, so I honestly think community is a very strong aspect to esports, especially now. And I think our prime focus on campuses, especially for you guys, are about the students in the community. And what do you think your students want to see from each program like yourselves? And do you think they're reaching beyond competition? Do you think they're just trying to be a part of, like Wasta said, to find friends? I'll stay with you, Christian, on that, because you talked about how you made long-term friends with it. But do you think the students at Penn State want to have this ultimate goal, or what do you think they want to get out of it?
Yeah, it's I'd say at a school like ours, we cater to students that want to get more of right now a more of a casual community based time out of the club. Now that really does suck a bit, because our school has resources to really turn us not into just uh, a community type school, where you come to make a friend or two, but really into a top competing school where you don't want to show up next to us during a game or whatnot, because we can easily win a bunch of tournaments. But and that comes with the fact that we have 40,000 students on campus and another 30,000 across Penn State. And a lot of those people are actually really good at esports. But besides that, yes, our students are looking for a community. And more importantly, they want to see us use our new resources like the esports facility to the best of our ability. Even though the school doesn't really know what they want to even use it for, I feel like our club members want to sometimes just have the leadership give them an idea, so to speak. And once we can give them an idea of something to do on their weekends, that's when they really start enjoying the club.
And Joey, I know going into year one is your big thing right now. Do you see anything coming into basically a campus that did not have esports? Did you get a flood of students wanting to join and be a part of it? How does that look for your upcoming year, and what are you most excited for?
Oof, it's tough. You know, I think we have to teach our students what esports is and what it can do for them, because they want to be in our facilities, they want to be playing games, and I could go on about that, but that's great. But I want them to understand the professional development opportunities, the speaking engagements, the other things we're doing on campus. But I can't make them stay sometimes for that because they just want to get back into the room and play games, and educating them about what these games actually are and how it can benefit them down the road beyond playing those games. That's a big part of what we want to do. So, I'm just trying to find ways to keep them engaged, and it's tough sometimes. It's like, I got this music, but in my mind, it's good music and it keeps them to stay, but it's not what they want to hear sometimes. And so it can be tough to get them to understand what the role of esports is going to be for them, because they've had the chance to play video games and be in the facilities and do things before we really implemented a structured program beyond just a club. And the club is great, as Christian was talking about, making friends and having that engagement, having those connections. But let's take it to that next level and offer additional opportunities to be involved. And so for the students here, they've been great, and I've had so much fun working with them and talking with them. But it's really almost reorienting their mind of thought about how we can use esports for other educational and professional development opportunities. And it's so much more than just playing video games. And I know they're thinking, that's what people say and it can be great, but it actually is. And showing them what the benefits are for esports and gaming beyond esports and gaming is something I'm working on hard with the current students. The ones we're bringing in, the ones that are starting this year as incoming freshmen, they kind of understand that because I've talked to them before, but it's the ones that were already here before I got here. It's just kind of making sure they understand what role esports plays going forward and how it's being structured in a way that doesn't step on their toes and take away from what they've loved about esports on campus for the last couple of years before I got here.
Yeah, that's all amazing. I mean, I'm happy to see what you're pulling out at Syracuse and everything to go through this year. And I know we touched upon academic a little, and I kind of want to hear Jay's thoughts on the academic side and what is offered at Grand Canyon, and are these academic integrations tracking for degrees and esports related classes?
Yeah, so I'm kind of like Joey in this way. We're just getting started with kind of the academic integration of esports, especially with the College of Arts and Media. This is one of the first times I think that we're talking about it publicly again, just like our involvement with the College of Arts and Media. GCU is actually going to be opening up a game design degree in 2025, and that's going to be the biggest way that students can get involved through esports and the College of Arts and Media. And that's what I would say I'm the most excited about, because the way that we talk about it with the College of Arts and Media is this gaming technology is the future of entertainment technology, right? Gone are the days of movies being done with practical effects, right? Some movies do that, but not as many. We've all seen a lot of the Marvel movies, and we've all seen, all of the modern iterations of things like Borderlands and Super Mario and those different things. And we're seeing a lot of those assets and a lot of those scenes being made in things like Unity and Unreal Engine. And those skills are taught in a program like game design, right? So that's what we're looking at and excited about in the world of academics, because we believe at GCU that the future of media is in gaming technology.
And I kind of want to stay with you, Jay, for a second, because I like what Grand Canyon's doing with content creation and media. How has that improved the growth and success of GCU's program, and how do you expect that to continue into the future?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say it like this. I think that esports is nothing without content, right? I'm a child of esports. I grew up watching FaZe. I grew up watching Optic. I grew up watching Team Envy. I grew up watching Team Caliber, right? If it weren't for all of the processes that came out, if it weren't for all of the vaults that came out with TSM, right? I wouldn't have cared about esports. I wouldn't have had a reason to care about esports. And the content on our campus that focuses on all of the students that are part of our community gives people a reason to care about GCU esports. Otherwise, we're a bunch of gamers sitting in a dark room, hanging out, playing video games, right? And that's not at all who we are or what we do. So, and at the end of the day, the fakers are going to fake, but we're the real, right? So for us, what it really, really is, we want to show people the real of esports. We don't want to show them the fake. We play video games. We sit in a dark room. We don't want to show them the things that they believe. We want to show them what we really are and how we really do things. And we give people a true view of that through the content that we produce.
Yeah, and do you think from that storytelling, Jay, it helps your community on campus know that, like Joey's words, it's more than video games?
Absolutely. Yeah. The biggest goal I had when I got here at GCU, and some people might hate this, but the biggest goal that I had was flipping the idea that esports on campus is just about playing games. And we've done that. That's why we're a part of the College of Arts and Media now, right? The understanding on our campus is not that we're just a bunch of kids sitting in a dark room playing games, right? The word on campus is that we're athletics, but with video games instead of basketball, right? And that goes for the character development of our students. That goes for the accountability of all of our different workers. That even goes into some of the structure that we create for our community members that we have. So really for us, again, it's about showing everyone that we're not just playing video games on campus, and that is much deeper than that.
Thank you, Jay. And Christian, I know you're coming to an end of your tenure at Penn State. And is there anything you recommend to other clubs or programs that are student led like you to continue the growth as leadership is passed on?
That's a good question. I'd say definitely take priority and take advantage of your school's resources. So, every club has an access to funding in some way or another. And esports is one of the few clubs where you can leverage a lot of sponsorships and a lot of funding due to that. Penn State esports was actually a club sport, the previous year. And the reason why was because, we grew a bit too large. Now, like I said earlier, the processes and the way that we run as a school didn't really fit out for esports, because esports, as we've said before, it's a fine line between sporting and video games, right? It's an esport, it's not completely a sport. And because of that, we are able to leverage a lot of club funding, a lot more than many other clubs are able to, because the amount of students that we have in our club, and then also the amount of access we have to outside funding and companies. I'd say take advantage of your resources, but also definitely listen to your student base and what do they want. Some schools like Penn State are too big to manage, a purely competitive focus for a club. Some schools like Penn State require you to focus mostly on your students that want to just chill out and have fun. And then other schools are small enough where you can really hone in a team that deserves to travel and deserves to show the rest of the world, that you should go to your school and you should compete with them. So I'd say those are the two biggest things that you should do.
Yeah, I like what you're doing there, Christian. Personally, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but I was a student-led program myself. I was the one that was leading Caldwell University. And yeah, I mean, utilize your resources. It's very hard when you're not involved on campus enough. And no matter what you want to do for those students, the university needs to back you up. So yeah, I agree with everything you said, Christian. And I hope this will be the good last year for you. I want to ask real quick, everybody. I know high school esports are a growing topic, and I don't know if this is beneficial to the growth of college esports or your program as well. Joey, do you use high school esports at those tournaments and leagues for recruitment, or how do you think it's going to develop into college?
Absolutely, for recruitment. We travel and we visit with high school students and principals and superintendents as much as we can, because sure, it's a pathway to a college education, a college experience that you can use esports, and at the competitions you're recruiting those high level players. We do offer scholarship opportunities here for 6 of our teams, our 6 varsity teams that we have in our esports program. But again, it's more than that. It's making sure they understand the paths that are available to them and the experiences available to them in college. So is it academics? Is it research? Is it the professional development? Maybe they want to work in graphic design or game design, and what opportunities through our esports and gaming offerings that we have on campus in our programs can students take advantage of, even though they might not be an esports major, they might not compete on an esports team, but they're still involved and engaged with the program. So we try to educate high schools in the area and really around the country as much as we can about those opportunities. And it's not even like I have to go or I'm trying to sell them on Syracuse, right? Because there is a school for everybody out there that makes sense for them, that they are comfortable with and they feel like they can be successful at, whether it's a school like Syracuse or GCU or Penn State or really anywhere. And so what we do with high schools is we just want to make sure that students are aware of opportunities. We want to make sure principals and teachers are aware of not only the opportunities, but also how to leverage esports in their classroom, right? Sometimes students are hard to get through to. High school students can be very tricky to get through to. And so using esports as a mechanism to teach them transferable skills or to show them the pathways to successful careers or collegiate opportunities, I think is a really valuable tool for them to understand. And that we're not trying to fight and combat what esports is, right? I mean, we've heard it brought up a couple of times here. We all think of gamers as eating Doritos, drinking Mountain Dew, sitting in a basement. We all know that's not true anymore, but a lot of people don't know that's not true. So I think education to those educators is something we have to keep engaging with. So sure, we recruit students. We go find really talented players for our teams and try to recruit them to Syracuse. But on a bigger picture, we want to make sure that administrators, teachers, parents, and students are aware of opportunities in not only the high school space, but how they can use that to get to college as well. And I think we're seeing more curriculum in high school. We're seeing more facilities in high schools. We're seeing more leagues. My daughter's in middle school up here, and they have a Rocket League team. Yes, I have a daughter. I'm older than everybody on here, probably double the age of most people on this call. And so they do have a middle school Rocket League team that she's starting to compete on. So I think it's really cool what's happening at that K-12 level, as long as we can continue to show them the opportunities beyond K-12 that we have at the collegiate system.
Thank you, Joey. I know we're almost ending, and Jay, you actually do have a question in chat. Starting and founding the esports club, they said starting and founding the esports club at Mississippi State. What are the goods, the bads, the highs, the lows of starting from the ground up? And they said from someone that was there to see him do it, it was awesome.
Sure. Well, thank you, whoever you are. Who's the person, Tony Ann? Who is it?
Dancing Buffalo.
Thank you, Bailey. Appreciate you, man. That was my first host of my first ever esports egg bowl. So if I heard the question correctly, it's about, what are the benefits and drawbacks, right, of running a club on a college campus, right? I think the benefits are freedom. I know that when I was a college student, and I'm still this way, but I've learned to pull back a little bit because my livelihood depends on it. I was a ask for forgiveness, not permission kind of student, right? And that led us to a lot of success because I didn't ask for permission. We just did things, right? And sure, sometimes we got in trouble and I'd have to shake those things off, and I shake them off all the time. But when I was at a club, I know, versus even now at a program, I know that I had a little bit more freedom because we weren't beholden to all the red tape, right? And right now I'm part of a program. I sit in a position as director. So sometimes very often I do have to ask for permission, right? So I think that was the biggest benefit for me as a student was having freedom to kind of do what we wanted. And, at the end of the day, just saying, hey, I'm sorry, please don't keep holding me and shaking me the way that you are, right? So that was the biggest benefit. And then the biggest drawback is just the lack of resources. We were lucky at Mississippi State that we had, like Joey talked about, some champions on campus. But the biggest issue for us was finding a lot of the things that Mississippi State has now. Go Will. A lot of those things are space, money, having a champion on campus who is willing to kind of walk you into doors where the door might be closed in your face, right? So those are the big benefits and drawbacks that I see. And again, the faker is gonna fake, but every single time in collegiate, the real prevails, right? And I think the folks who are real in collegiate are the people who are not asking for forgiveness or not asking for permission, but they're expecting forgiveness when they're running through their program and they're just trying to ensure that they can create a home for students on their campus.
Thank you, Jay. I'm going to close it off by one last question for all of you. If you had to predict one thing for the upcoming 2024 to 2025 year, what would that be? Whoever wants to take it.
Yeah, I'll start.
The haters aren't gonna like this one, but Christian, I'm gonna overtake you, man. The haters aren't gonna like this one, but we're going to be the biggest. We're going to be the biggest esports community in the United States. We're already at 2,000. I'm willing to bet. I'm like Joey. That's real students. We have student IDs. We have zip codes. We have emails. This isn't a Discord number. A lot of you are going off of Discord numbers, and that's okay. You might hate that. That's all right. You also can shake it up. It's okay. But for us, we're going to be the biggest esports community in the United States by far.
Christian, you want to go?
Christian, you can go now.
Yeah. Well, I'd say number one thing is that I loved what Jay said about asking for forgiveness, not permission. If I were to add one thing to uh, the list of things that you should do as a student president, as a student-led organization, is to do exactly that. Because although we did have a lot of funding this past year, and because of that, we had a lot of sponsorships, which was great, and we did a lot of work in order to get those. We would not have made the events that we did without asking for forgiveness, not permission. Because at a school like Penn State, we have a huge bureaucracy of things that you're just not going to be able to get through in time in order to do everything that you want to in a single year. So that hits certainly home for me, and that I love that. And that's why we make such a large event at Penn State, something that Grand Canyon can't do.
Nice.
I like that, Christian. We'll compete this year, man. I'll get the phone number. We'll compete. We'll go back and forth on the numbers. I'll share the spreadsheets. We'll do it all, man.
I love it. And Joey, what is your prediction for the year?
My prediction is we're going to see the largest amount of campus involvement outside of esports now paying attention to esports than we ever have before. I think with everything we've heard here is like how to spread the word, how to get more people involved. It's not just for our students that are competing in esports to support and watch other students competing. It's getting the wider campus and the communities around our campuses more involved in what we're doing and paying attention to what we're doing. And I think all of us are making very intentional efforts to do that. We're going to see a lot of big schools competing against each other to bring in those community fan bases that build on traditional athletic rivalries as well. And I think building those narratives and telling those stories is going to bring in the larger campus community. Something I want to see is I want to see students on campus that I don't know as part of the esports program wearing our esports gear, buying our t-shirts, wearing our hats from the bookstore because they're fans and they support our team and our program, even though they're not directly connected to it. Something I really want to see is I want to see a student here at Syracuse walking on a sidewalk wearing another school's esports gear, because then I know like, oh, you're paying attention to other stuff outside of this. Like, let's have a conversation. So I think if we can engage the larger campus communities to really get them to understand what this is and how skilled these players are and how important it is to students that are involved in these clubs, and bring in the non-esports students at the school to develop that community, that's going to be something that I think is going to happen more this year than ever before through additional programming beyond competition, through storytelling and big time competition on big college campuses with traditional athletic rivalries. We're telling our story better now than ever in college esports. And I think we're going to get those larger fan bases involved because of that.
Well, thank you, Joe, Jay, and Christian for being here today and actually ending our week. I want to thank everyone for attending the Coaches and Directors Summit this year, and I wish you all the best in the upcoming fall season and good luck in every competition you may be in. Thank you.
It was awesome, Tony. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.